Okay, so gonna get started here in 1 second. Make sure my microphones are all set up. Okay, so gonna do this training video. Gonna make it as quick as possible. I want to reference back to the training that we're doing last week, and drawn a little bit of the training that we're doing this week. The biggest thing, as you see in the title, creating agreement with the customer and figuring out what the customer needs, what they want. Out of all the things that we went over, out of all the sort of issues that were brought up, comfortability, confidence, all these things, all of those things, I think, really are handled by your ability to be able to create this agreement, to be able to communicate effectively with the customer, to be able to make them feel good about what we're doing, and good about speaking with us essentially about their windows, right? So it's a rainy day today and reshoot this training because I lost most of it. So I'm going to try to remember back to all of our notes. I did take a couple notes down today that I'll be diving through, but I'm going to try to remember back as best as I can. This is better done with two people, but I know that calling on people last minute to do something like this, I just didn't want to put anybody in a negative situation, difficult situation, especially right now. Look, the whole premise of what we went over, the last couple of days in creating agreement is when you get out there, you should not have any sizable amount of angry or upset customers. Part of the job description, part of the layout of what you should be wanting to accomplish in your career here, in your job today, in what you go out there and do. And it should be just like your everyday life, right? You don't want to go out there to piss people off, right? You don't actively got to work. You don't actively got to try usually to piss people off or not piss people off, hopefully in your private life. But your goal, I hope, is to go out there and to be a decent person, to make decent communication with people and to have decent conversations with people, based on whatever you're doing, right? To create family, to create friends, to be able to communicate effectively with them, with spouses and with kids and stuff like that. You want to be doing the same thing with the customer. Look, the more positive conversation you can have with the customer, the more happy that will go, the more positive it will go. And so, when you knock on that customer's door, the first thing is, of course, understanding that their initial rejection is not to you. It's not to Windows. It's to the fact that you knocked on their door at that moment to talk to them about Windows. It's important to understand that because one of the things that we talked about, that we addressed whenever I asked you guys what you needed help with and what you felt like was kind of a problem, the first thing that some of you guys said was, well, I feel like I'm going out there without confidence, right? And I get that. I've been there before. I'm constantly there. I mean, anytime I go out there on the road, the first couple houses I do, especially, I'm unsure of myself sometimes, and I don't feel great about my pitch or whatever. I feel like I'm going to be off that day. I question myself. And if I stayed in that attitude for any sizable amount of time, I'd never be able to do well. The pressure that you're putting on yourself is so significant. It's not helpful. It's not helpful to you, And so you have to understand that pressure is not healthy. Okay. And so you need to take that pressure away from yourself by first understanding when you step out there and you go to speak with that first customer, you need to sort of reset yourself. You need to think about, I'm not doing anything wrong out here. I'm not giving this person a high pressure sales system. If I was working for a different company or maybe at jobs in the past, maybe I put myself under that pressure, but I don't have to feel under that pressure right now. The company, myself, your team leaders are not putting you under that pressure. We don't want you to create adverse relationship with the customer. We don't want you to make the customer angry. We want you to listen to the customer. We want you to be able to effectively communicate with them. And so you can take that pressure right off yourself right now before you go out there. We're not expecting you to push people. That's not how we do business. Okay. So starting from the beginning of your day, that's the first thing that you need to do is you need to reset your attitude every day. You need to reset your attitude sometimes every hour. If stuff's going on at home, it's not helpful for you to bring that into work. It doesn't help you. It doesn't help the rest of the team. It doesn't help our numbers and projections. It doesn't help the amount of things that we have to do in a day, the amount of pressure that's on you. Nothing is helped by that. This should be a place for you to come to feel more comfortable. You know, I mean, this should be a place when you're out there dealing with customers. It's very, very easy to forget everything else that's going on with you. And that's what you want to work on. You want to get out there and you want to be sort of, what do they call it? Zen. You want to feel comfortable. You want to feel good. And whatever you have to do to get yourself into that mode, get yourself into that mode. Like, I'm not a pseudoscience person. Okay. Like I was saying earlier today to some of you guys in training, I am not someone that sits there and just, right? But for some people that works. You just close your eyes and breathe for a second, right? Relax for a second, relax your body and your mind for a second. Try to let go of things. Maybe turn off your phone for the first hour of the day or whatever, until you need to use it, whatever. Maybe you even keep a separate phone if you feel like you need to. And you just keep that one on, like a track phone or something like that, just to deal with customers and whatnot. But whatever you need to do to get yourself in the zone, get yourself in the zone. If it's watching a video, listening to a song, whatever you need to do that before you get out there. Do that before you hit your first door. And that's the first step here, really, because you have to be in a comfortable space to deal with the customer. Nothing wrong. This job can be done regardless. You could be having the worst day of your life and you can still do well, but that takes talent and skill that you have to build over time. If you just chill out and simplify what you're doing, anyone can do this. Anyone can do it, but you have to chill out, relax, and simplify what you're doing. And that's the first step, the first thing that you need to do. Okay. After that, you have to realize what our objective is. Again, I told you guys this the other day, but the goal is to get through the conversation with the customer, not to maim and destroy the relationship that you have with them, that you build with them over the first couple of minutes by, slamming them with rebuttals. No, it's to step back, figure out what that customer needs and how do we solve those needs. Okay. And this is a part that's much easier to do with two people. But if we're going through our pitch and conversation, good afternoon, my name is Paul Duffy. I hope you're Mr. Jones. Great, Mr. Jones. Look, I'm with Renewal by Andersen Windows, and we just completed some work for your neighbor, actually, Mrs. Smith, right down on 123 Main Street. And you should be referencing that customer, referencing that person, okay? We just did some work for Mrs. Smith right over on 123 Main Street. Look, the reason why I'm here is because it looked like you had the original vinyl windows as well. Now, how long have you lived in the home? Okay, because people have different goals, guys, okay? So if the person's been there for 30 years and they lived there the entire life of the house, and they're going to have much less incentive. Well, they'll have much more incentive to change windows, but the conversation is going to be different, right? They have a lot of ties to us. They probably know the house a lot more. They probably feel the drafts more, but they're probably used to it more. So your conversation changes a little bit. And if they're short with you, then it changes a little bit. If they give you a long sincere answer, then, look, I moved here actually like 30 years ago. Yep. We moved over from, Cleveland, Ohio, whatever. Okay. That is going to give you, it's going to send your conversation a little bit of a slightly different direction, very slightly different direction. And you're going to ask them more questions, get to know them a little bit more. Okay. But this is your time. This conversation that you're having is your time to get to know the customer's wants and needs a lot more. Okay. So you start asking questions to the customer. Okay, look, well, I just want to ask you a couple questions. Like I said, I noticed that you had the original vinyl windows here. They look like they were 30 years old or so. That being said, I started to notice walking up, Mr. Jones, that you were experiencing some warping in the window here. I don't know if you noticed, for a lot of people don't notice this with their windows, but it looked like the middle piece of the window, the sash there was warping. Okay. That being said, sir, a lot of people, when they have issues like that, as a lot of your neighbors especially, they say the windows are pretty hard to open and close, the lock securely, how often do you open and close your windows? Not often. Okay. Well, I would imagine if you went around, they'd probably be pretty difficult to open and close, And now, sir, are you familiar with these weep holes out here, with what are called weep holes, 2 holes at the bottom of your window? They're meant to be the drainage system for the vinyl window. A lot of times the water will get caught in those, sir, and it will start to kind of go into the frame of the house. I don't know if you've ever heard of that before. No, you haven't. Okay, yeah. I mean, these are just some of the reasons why your neighbor replaced the windows, sir. And that being said, these windows, you haven't replaced any of them yet, right? No, no, I'm not going to be interested in doing the windows, man. We got other projects going on right now. So maybe if you come back in a year, we'll talk in a year. I mean, I know you guys come by every once in a while. Just come back in a year. Okay, you got other projects going on. So great. What are you doing first? We're going to be doing the roof first, definitely. You know, and the driveway needs to be done over soon too. Well, unfortunately, we don't do those things, sir, right? But I mean, that makes sense. It makes sense, especially to do the roof first. So I mean, the roof can be obviously a dangerous thing. If you don't have that done, that can be a big problem. You know, that being said, so that's kind of why I'm out here. So what we typically do, sir, I just want to let you know while I'm out here, we have somebody come out. They can take a look at your windows just to see if we could even do what would need to be done here for when you decide to do them. They can test the windows for you. They can see if it's even worth doing. And if we can't be a service to you, then we just recommend someone else who could. But if we could help you, sir, then we just show you our windows and how they're installed. And then if you will simply like what you see, then we'll just take some measurements and leave you with the price. So that way down the line, after you get the other stuff done, you at least have the information set aside. Does that sound like it could be helpful to you, sir? Okay, so again, I mean, you look at that pitch, guys, okay, and the person is telling me something. I'm not just ignoring it and moving off of it. Okay, I'm focusing on it. My pitch becomes about it. Okay, yeah, well, that's definitely more important, sir. But we could send somebody out to check and see if it's even worth it for you to have these windows done. You know, and look, if it's not, or if we can't be a service to you, then we'll just recommend someone who can. But if we can help you, sir, then we'll absolutely show you our windows, you know, and how they're installed. Then if you like what you see, we'll just take some measurements and just leave you with the quotes. That way, after you're done all these other projects, you have the information set aside. You'll be surprised at how many people go, okay, yeah, I mean, just not right now. I mean, we'll do it when we're ready. Okay. But, you know, yeah, you can get us a quote right now. But even if they don't, even if they're like, yeah, you know, look, we'll call you when we're ready, which, by the way, is going to be most of the response. Here's the thing, right? Okay. You just change that response from a get off my property now, or nope, get out of here, to a, you know, look, yeah, I mean, when we're ready, how about we just call you? Okay. I don't want to commit to this right now. I mean, just too much money is going into this other stuff. There's no way I can commit to this right now. So you adapt their excuse, you change their attitude, you see, and that's what will make you a lot more successful in what you do. You gotta adapt and change your attitude. Okay. And a lot of people talk about, you know, losing there at the value of the visit after that and whatnot. And that's look, it's better to lose after the value of the visit than to lose before. That's for sure. Okay. Which you should never be doing. You know, 15% of the time, if that, you'll lose before the value of the visit, if that. Okay, if that, and not even probably, but if that. So when you dive into this, okay, when you start to go through the value of the visit, and then you get an objection, again, it's all about how you handle that too, right? So I'm going to use an example of a guy who I set an appointment for that was doing a garage. I was with a couple people, and this guy was doing his garage over and whatnot, and he was in the backyard when we came up to the house. Nice house. He was doing a lot of great work to it. Looked like he had a fighting pit in the back. It was kind of weird. It was up in Altoona. And the guy is way in the yard when we walk up, right? But we had rang the doorbell. Nobody answered the door. I actually, maybe we didn't ring the doorbell. Either way, we either saw the guy in the yard or we rang the doorbell. But I go around, hey, sir, how's it going, right? And I'm like, you mind if I come back? You know, and he can't hear me. And I can kind of hear him, but I just kind of, I kind of pretend like I can't want to say it's pretending. I can't fully hear what he's saying. There's no way I can converse with the guy. So I'm like, yeah, do you mind if I come back? And he starts walking up. So I just kind of leave it. I wait till he gets up there till he's about, 10 or so feet from me. And I just, introduce myself. So I'm with Renewal by Anderson. Look, we were just doing some work for your neighbors right over on, Lebanon Ave. And so I just wanted to stop by. It looked like you were doing a lot of construction work and whatnot. But I did notice that you had the original Anderson windows. How long have you lived in the home, sir? Oh, yeah, I mean, 10 years or so. Yeah, we're doing a lot of work, though. We're definitely doing a lot of work. But yeah, the Andersons and whatnot. We thought about doing them at some point, but not right now. I mean, they're fine. We get a lot going on, So he's kind of unloading on me right in the beginning. I'm like, okay. And again, I'm listening. And that's the difference between me and a lot of people, or successful people, I should say, at the job. And a lot of people is like, listen, let them talk for a second, So I'm like, okay, so yeah, this is going to be your garage, you said? That's going to be beautiful, man. I like what you did there, because what he had done was he laid concrete like out farther into his yard, so it almost created like a little concrete cliff in the back. And I'm like, that had to be expensive, dude. That's crazy, but that's going to add so much space to your driveway and you already get enough yards. That's awesome, man. I'm like, building materials expensive right now. And he's like, yeah, it's absolutely absurd. That's why I haven't finished it yet. Cool. Hey, and then he had this weird kind of effect on the floor of the garage. I'm like, what caused this? Like, did you try to do that? He screwed something up actually, but it looked cool. So I'm like, well, it looks cool, man, at least. Well, look, I'll let you know, sir, why I'm out here. So the windows, obviously, they're starting to experience some problems. I mean, they're Andersons. That's great. And I'm sure they've lasted a long time. How do you like them and how they lasted? Oh yeah, they lasted great. They lasted for a long time. I mean, they don't tilt into clean. He says something like that, but I mean, besides that, they're good. They hold them nice. That's great, sir. I mean, it's always good to see our product from years ago. It really helps us a lot, So these don't tilt into clean. You said, right? Okay, so they, like you said, they're 30 years old, so that makes sense. Well, it's great, sir, because we've updated a lot of our technology. Obviously, all of our windows tilt into clean now, and you can use one hand to do it. It's great. That being said, there's a lot of other problems that have gone on with older Andersen windows over time. I noticed walking up. I didn't see a lot of windows walking up, sir, because I kind of walked into your driveway here. But I noticed walking up that there was some wearing down of the vinyl material, which happens over time. It's a vinyl clad window, so the vinyl will wear down to the wood. So I started talking to him about that. And he starts hitting me with yeah, we thought about it, but how about we give you a call back? We got a lot of construction going on right now. And I'm like, absolutely, sir. I wait till he's done talking. Absolutely, sir. Now it looks like you got a ton of stuff going on. You obviously got to finish that up first. That makes a lot of sense, and I wouldn't want to put that pressure on you, but may I just make a suggestion for you? And he's like, yeah, sure. Because again, when framed that way, most people aren't going to say no. Like, look, he admitted to a problem or two, and I told him about a problem or two. And then he gave me his objection. I'm just like, yeah, that's, and so that's why I'm here basically, but let me just, may I make a suggestion? But it's that quick transition to may I make a suggestion, right? I'm not going to, at this point in this conversation, I'm not going to say, well, Mr. Jones, you do know that you're going to have to replace your windows in the next couple of years. I'm not going to do that because we're not there. Like, that's not where we're at. I'm not dictating the problems with the windows. Like, we already went through that. We're good there. He's given me an objection. I'm not just going to go, well, you do not. No, I'm just going to say, well, you mind if I just make a suggestion, sir? Very informal. We're having a conversation. And he's like, yeah, sure. What would you suggest to me? So I'm like, well, look, so what we would do is we just have a foreman come out because remember, we're already in the neighborhood, sir. We're doing a job, like I said, for your neighbor down here. And then one down the street, we're coming to see one of your neighbors to give them a quote. You might know them, the Johnson residents, but what we do is he has somebody come out. They'd actually take a look at the older Andersen windows because it's cool they already have Andersen. We check the energy efficiency on them to see which ones, if any, are losing you more energy efficiency. And if we can't be of service to you, fine. So we'll also show you things though too, like how our windows tilt into clean, stuff like that. If we can't be of service to you, then we'll just recommend someone who can. But if we could help you, then we'd show you our windows, how they're installed. And then if you like what you see, all we do, sir, is we take some measurements and leave you with a quote. That way, when you are ready to do something after you're done with these projects, of course, you at least have the information set aside. Does that sound like it could at least be helpful to you, sir? So again, the non-committal language that I'm using, right? Like it's not, look, we're just going to check them out for you. We're just going to test them out. We're going to leave you with a free quote, but it's for after you get the other projects done, of course, And so he actually said that he was like, I mean, you can. I'm not going to do the windows right now, man. I'm telling you that right now. Like, maybe it's best if I just call you back, but I mean, you can if you want to. So I'm like, oh, all right. So we'll look. Like I said, I mean, about calling us back, we're already doing some jobs, so it's really easy for us to just come up here and jump to see you. That being said, the goal of the visit is just to go over your options, answer any questions that you have. And the quote's locked in for a year, so that way, whether you do it now or not, you at least have the information set aside. And then he actually laid out to me. He's like, well, it's not going to be, I mean, it might be more than a year before we do, like, this is probably going to take me a year to do, talking about the garage. So it might be more than a year before I do this. And that's fine. So, I mean, my suggestion is you still get a quote because you'll at least know how much it's going to cost. And I mean, just like I'm sure that you save for this garage, so you'll be able to save for the windows if you decide that our company is right for you. But the benefit of getting it now, sir, there's no pressure, right? So that being said, I had your last name here as, Dawson. What's your first name? Okay, great. And your address, and I go through the information, right? So we get through, and I start to go, and now he's seeming, everything's good, but he seems like he needs to get out of there, right? I'm going through the spouses and this and that. His wife is on the side over here, and she's like signaling to him. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, is that your wife? And so he's like, yeah. She's trying to tell me, come on, we got to get food. And I'm like, hey, ma'am, how you doing? I apologize. I promise just one more second. I promise. Right. So then that's when I go to, well, look, we can see you guys. He had already committed to the wife being there, stuff like that. So then I go and set up the appointment. Okay. The biggest thing is I'm creating not an adverse relationship with them, but a good, positive back and forth. And that's what you want with every potential customer that you have. You know what I'm saying? If it's a lady, to give you another example, all right, let's say, for example, it's a guy, he comes out, he seems like kind of a stoner, but he's a homeowner there. Him and his father own the house together. I think the grandmother passed away and left it to them. We kind of surprised him at his house. His only thing was, look, we're doing the siding and stuff like that right now. So we can't do the windows. And I told him, like, the windows that you have here, there's enough frame here to where we could probably do the project, but that's why we'd have somebody come out, sir. They could just check and make sure we can do it for you, so on and so forth. Like, that was later on that day. That guy was my least solid appointment. Probably he was also the easiest to set. So again, it's, if you have to work for it, like, understand, like, that's not a problem to have to work for these things. You just have to, when you're in the process of working for them, you just have to make sure that you're communicating everything with the customer, that you're not cheapening up the appointment, that you're not trying to push through stuff like that. Okay. When you try to cut corners and whatnot, that's when it's going to be very apparent to the customer that you're a problem, that you're a salesperson. Okay. And so you just want to communicate this stuff positively, create agreement with the customer. When the customer says, I can't do this right now because, I just had an operation on my leg. Oh my God, I didn't even realize that. So you crunched all the way over here. Sorry, I didn't even ask. What happened, if you don't mind me asking? Well, I just broke it in a soccer accident. Oh, but see, that's why I don't do stuff like that. So you're crazy, but I'm glad you're okay though, dude. I'm really glad you're okay. That being said, I wouldn't want to put you in any kind of situation while you're like this, sir. What I could do though is just have somebody come out, at a better time for you, like later on in the week or something like that. They could just take a look at your windows. And if, all we do is check them out. If we can't be a service to you, then we'll just recommend someone else who can, blah, 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 right? I get it done like that. This guy who we meet who's, again, you're not going to book the person typically that comes out and they're just like, what do you want? Yeah. Okay. What do you want? But those are the people that you try to break through. And if you can't, then you do. I didn't expect to catch you on the day that you're ready to replace your window. Right? Very few of my customers have money put aside new windows. And you do your best with them, but you can't let those people determine how good or shitty your day is. Like, those people are the icing on top. The people that I'm able to communicate with, those are the people that are like my bread and butter. The icing on top is that stoner that came out that's like, yeah, okay, fine. Yeah, okay, yeah. And he might cancel the appointment, but what am I going to do? He owns the house. He's like, yeah, it sounds good. Yep. Okay. So I'm going to set that guy up, but I'm not going to rely on that for my commission. He's just that fifth one or that fourth one. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's just that guy that also set up with me, And so, like, you got to balance these things out, guys. It's not difficult to do. Now, a lot of people talked about losing early, like showing up, knocking on the door, the person come out, not interested. And I got feedback that this worked. Okay. You gotta do something to capture their attention. You have to. My boss, when I first got hired, always told me it's about the first 15 seconds. It's about the first 5 seconds. If you don't capture their attention in that 5 seconds, now it's great because we use their name now, and that's extremely helpful. So if I knock on a door and a customer comes out and they go, yeah, not interested, I'm just going to say, Mr. Jones. Okay. And they very well could go, but a lot of times they're going to be like, yeah, what's up? Why? Okay. Who are you looking for? Right. That's my in, dude. I doubt, is it going to be like the best conversation ever? Didn't start off properly, but who knows what they have going on. I've always lent customers grace in the way that they behave because I have no idea what they have going on in their lives. Look, I've met the greatest, nicest people in the world that are dying of lung cancer in their home. And I met the biggest of jerks that are living in $1 million mansion, driving a G-Wagon every day, right? We all know this. We've all dealt with this before, right? But I just assume that if they're not nice, they have something going on that doesn't involve me. And it never affects I can't say that. After 3 seconds of leaving their house, by the time I'm out of the yard driveway, it's done. I don't even think about them anymore. Okay. And you have to start letting that stuff go. Okay. There's no solution to some of these customers. Every time that you ask and make you're making the excuse for yourself, and I dealt with a lot of assholes today. There's a couple bad excuses in this job. I've been doing this for 12 years. Okay. 12 years. Just like I said, I lend customers grace. I lend you guys grace on certain issues and stuff like that. I would appreciate you lending me some grace on the fact that I've been doing this for 12 years. I never push my experience on people in a negative way. The one thing that I can tell you is that like the list of excuses that I would never accept from anybody, that like if they were on my team and they continuously made these excuses, the first, it would be conversation. Second, it would be like, look, there's no place for you on this team. Would be A, nobody was home, because I check the knock sheets. I check the knock sheets and whatnot. And I don't do it when you say this, no, because it's not I don't do it just because you say this sometimes, because people say this. We check them on a daily basis. We pick people out to check, okay? And we see generally the same amount of people generally answering for each person. It might be 15% on Sundays, which is terrible. That's a terrible show rate. But it's never going to be 0%. It's never going to be 2%. It's always going to be 30 to 50%. And then, hey, you just had that terrible day where it just so happened that you had 15%. And that sucks, but it's so infrequent. And if you guys could see what I see on a daily basis, it's so infrequent. So I'll never accept that excuse of there was just nobody home. Okay. And I'll never accept the excuse of there was just a bunch of assholes, because we've been to those neighborhoods before. Dude, try doing this job in the city. Try doing this job in Boston or Philadelphia. There's a lot more assholes there. Why? Because it's go, 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 go. They give you no time. You'll have people that come and go, what? You got 10 seconds, go. All the time. That's it. And it's tough. Milton, Massachusetts, man, the bane of my existence, okay? I made so many excuses going to that goddamn place that it took me 3 times to go there to drop the excuses and actually just do the job. And on the 3rd time going there, okay, or maybe even 4th time going there, finally it was like, okay, cool, it's not the people, it's me. I just got to pick up the pace a little bit, right? The customer owes you nothing. They owe you nothing at all. They don't owe you 3 seconds of their time. They don't owe you a Jolly Rancher. They don't owe you a Coke. They don't owe you anything. Definitely not a lead in whatnot. Okay, so stop being so arrogant about what the customer owes you. That's not going to happen. Okay, so I'm getting fired up here because I can't stand these excuses. They do nothing for you and nobody believes them. Here's what happens. I'll tell you, when it comes to excuses, guys, you might get in the van and say some shit like that. And maybe your friends go like, oh, yeah, that sucks, man, this and that. I guarantee you they're saying to each other, the manager and myself, oh man, that guy, he was being a loser today. He makes all kinds of excuses, this and that. Now, don't get me wrong, they might make the same excuse the next day, but I guarantee you that they are saying that to your face, and then behind your back, they're going, oh, wow, what a loser. Right? Because everybody knows it's an invalid excuse until they feel like it's happened to them. The weather, okay, you can't change it. It sucks. We are blessed where we're at. We are really blessed where we're at. We have a ton of rain today, more than I've ever seen in this area. Not typically. Our winters are not extremely cold. Our summers are not super hot typically. Has it shifted a little bit this year? A little bit. But it's never that bad. And I don't hear many people complain about that either, but it's something that, when I was up in Boston, oh my God, it would come up all the time. Right. So those are some excuses that I never could understand. I never could deal with, and I never would put up with, because none of it rings true. Oh, I don't know the window problems. I'm sorry, but you know enough. You know how much I knew about windows before I got to Philadelphia 2 years into me being with the company? Nothing at all. I knew somewhat about Andersen windows, nothing about other windows, nothing at all. Okay. Your ability to converse is everything. The window problems are 10% of it. The script is 15% of it. And then the rest of it, the other 75%, is your ability to deal with customer interaction in situations. That's 75% of the job. Your body language, your voice tone, the way that you carry yourself, all of those things matter. If you look like an asshole, no one's going to want to talk to you. If you're in a bad mood, if you're like the world just kicked your ass, no one's going to want to talk to you. But you know what? I would never hire somebody, never, that came in for an interview with that attitude. So I don't expect that anybody here, anybody that ever sees this video, to ever really carry themselves with that on a consistent basis. But whenever I see, if I say, hey guys, we're doing this great incentive, I'm confident that if I was just in the meeting going, woo, 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 yeah, all day, and then said, I'm going to give everybody $2,000 if they get 8 leads today, everyone would get 8 leads. Everyone would be like, wow, my God, this is fantastic. Best job ever. Okay. But what about when it comes to creating your own income? Okay. What about the difference between, $500 a week in base pay and $1,500 a week in pay? Like you can create that for yourself. If we just said, hey guys, this is your target and we'll hand you $1,000 every week, get 11 demos, most people would do it. Most people would go out there, they'd make the attitude adjustments to go out and get it done. We are offering that, guys. It just comes throughout the week. It just develops throughout the week. That's it. And we want to offer more. We want to do more, a lot more, but we can't do it if we're getting less than we did before, if we did less than we did the month previous and the month previous and the month previous. And so that's up to us in management to manage. And it's up to you guys to just do your part. Just take your slice of the pie and work on it. So again, I know I went off on kind of a tangent there, guys, but it's important. Okay. You can't create agreement with customers if you have an adverse relationship with me and us as a team and teammates in the job itself, you cannot help but create those same relationships with the customers. And so I beg you to examine that. I beg you to look into that exactly and figure out what you need to do to make it easier for you, okay, and to make the job just much more simple for you. Okay, now the second part of that, guys, is figuring out what the customers want is, what they actually want, okay? Now, of course, they'd love you to walk away because they don't know what they want right away, right? So I need you to take that up for a second, okay? So let's say that we had a list of customer wants and it was this long, okay? And up here, I want you to walk away. That needs to come off the list, okay? That's not happening right away, okay? So that needs to come off the list first. Everything else is there. What is important to them? I remember talking to a guy one time who just laid it out for me, man, like just straight up laid it out for me. He said to me, look, I know I need windows. My wife is spending all my money right now. She's cheating on me. She's at the casino right now. It's terrible, but I know I need to get these windows done. So I got to get rid of her and then I'll get windows. And I said, okay, well, look, I mean, we got to get your quote then. So you got to be prepared to do this. You might not be able to do this right now, but like, I sympathize with you, man. And let's get somebody out here just to leave you with a quote. I'm not going to put that in the notes. Obviously, I'll let you deal with that. And let's do it. And he goes, okay, all right, sounds good. And we got it done. I mean, it's what does the customer need? It's different for each person. If you walk up to every house and you don't bring them through the system, we had a guy the other day, oh, well, they look like they have newer windows, so I didn't walk up to the house. What are you doing, dude? What are you doing? No, not everybody needs windows. The majority of people in your neighborhood will need either windows, patio doors, or entry doors. The majority of people in your neighborhood will need that. Okay, whatever neighborhood you're in, the majority of people will need one of those three or all of those three or two of those three things. Okay, the great majority of people. So you got to go in there, and the first step is to identify that. Okay. And if you can't identify that, then you're already in a bad place, because if you can't identify that, then you're not identifying any of the other things. Okay. So you identify that. If the need is windows, great. If it's a little bit harder to pull pain for patio doors because you can't see them, it's a little bit harder to pull for entry doors because a lot of customers don't see as much importance in their entry doors as they do the windows. But you can do it. I could make an entry door company right now and we could go door to door for it and we'd set a bunch of leads. Okay. That's the way it is. Would it be as easy? No. Would it be relatively easy? Yeah, we'd set leads. Okay. After you get past that, okay, after you get past that, the need commitment is important, but you're not going to get every customer to buy into I need Windows right now. And you don't need to do that. The need commitment is important, but it's the general need for someone to come out and check my Windows. It's not I need Windows. So get that out of your head too. You're not there to sell them Windows. Every sales rep in the world will, in the company, I should say, would love for us to say, hey, do you want Windows? No. All right. You have a good day. Goodbye. If we could still set people that way, but we know we can't. And so the need of the customer is important, but the need of the customer, not the need of the Windows, the need of the customer is important. So if you have a baseline 3 problems, guys, because the customer is not focused on the issues as much, they might, all right, here's a good example. You come up to my house and I go, look, I know my Windows are terrible. I want to get them done right now. Sign me up. Okay. Why are your Windows terrible? I don't know, but they are terrible. Sign me up. Well, sir, I can see that they're actual. I don't care. Sign me up. All right, great. Sign them up. Sign them up. You try it, right? I mean, the need is very important because it creates the environment in which the customer feels like they should get them looked at. But you're not changing the world here with this shit, guys. You're not going to come up to my house and convince me in 10 seconds that I need to do Windows right now. Okay. I'm not going to go, oh my God, that rotting. I never saw that before. You blow my mind. No, 99% of the time, that's not the transaction that's happening. And if that's the transaction you think needs to happen, that's where your issue is right there. No, temper your expectations big time. Okay. Identify a couple of problems. So, walking up, I just want to point out to you real quick. I don't know if you noticed this before, but there's some rotting going on in the edges of your vinyl window sills here. Are you familiar with why that might happen? No, it didn't seem like that big of a deal to me. All right, well, when they replaced these windows, Mr. Jones, they left the original wood frames, which is what vinyl window companies do, okay? But clearly what's happening here, sir, is the rotting has started to get probably a little bit worse because it looks worse than your neighbors because there's probably water being kept in that vinyl window. Yeah, I never noticed that before. Okay. Yeah, and it's not something that you notice unless you came out here and like checked out the sill and stuff like that in your window, which most people don't. What you will notice when issues like this are coming up, even when you have vinyl windows in general, is there will be an energy efficiency loss. So that being said, would you say that you experience like drafts or just a little bit of hot and cold spots? Neither. They seem like they're holding up pretty well. Okay. You had the original wooden windows before? Yeah. Okay. Well, that's probably why. I mean, any windows are going to be better than original wood windows, typically with energy efficiency, right? So that makes a lot of sense. I mean, they are double pane. That being said, I noticed there was just a little bit of moisture starting to grow in the glass here at the bottom of this window here. These windows were all replaced at the same time, right? Okay. And so you don't know if this is on any other windows? I have no idea. Never really thought about it before. Okay. Well, it's probably because the energy is escaping from the glass there, from the window. That being said, I just want to point out one other thing that I noticed on the windows here. Okay. Mold will start to grow once windows oxidize. Okay. So once the plastic starts to wear down, you'll start to see little black dots and whatnot. It will start to get chalky too. And you can see it starting to grow here. And a lot of people deal with that, but it looks like you're at least going to have to think about doing something with the windows pretty soon. May I just make a suggestion for you? Okay, well, so what we do is we have somebody come out. They would just check the windows for you. They can actually check the energy efficiency for you. And if we can't be a service to you, then we'll just recommend someone else who can. But if we could help you, then we just show you our windows, how they're kind of installed. And then if you like what you see, we'll simply take some measurements and leave you with a price. So when you're ready, you'll know what can be done and how much it will cost. Does that sound helpful? I mean, I don't think I really need windows right now. I mean, they're not like that bad. There's other stuff we got to do, but they're not that bad. Okay, sir. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the goal of the visit would be exactly that, just to check them out. We can actually test the energy efficiency, like I said, for them, and see if it's something that you need to do. And just leave you with a free price quote that's good for a year. So at least you have some information set aside for when you're ready. Yeah, but I'm not going to get them checked if they don't need to be done right now. Yes, sir. Well, again, we're out in the neighborhood seeing some of your neighbors. We actually set up an appointment for Mrs. Smith right down the street. She has very similar windows. And Bob right down the street is finishing up his job, on getting his windows replaced. They're quite like this too. So all we would do is send that guy down, one of those guys down, just to check them out for you, just to see what's up with the windows themselves. That being said, I'll ask you this question. If you were intent on doing one of these things at some point in time in the next however many years, would it be like the windows first, or would you say like patio doors, entry doors? I mean, our patio door is pretty new, but this is old. Yeah, and it looked it walking up, so I just figured that the windows might be more of a priority there for you. But I'll tell you what we can do. So we can have somebody come out just to take a look at both of them. And again, they're just going to leave you with a free quote. It's good for a full year. And I had your last name here as Jones. What's your first? Are you going to book all those guys? No, but you're going to book some of those people. Okay, that's the big thing, is you just finding what's important to that customer. The important thing to the customer might be, I'm not really that interested right now, but I mean, I guess if you're in the neighborhood, look, our responsibility is to get two people home for the appointment for at least 90 minutes. And they need to have some sort of problem with the window. Okay. They don't need to know that they want to get it done right now. That's not our job. Okay. So temper your expectations, right? If you're losing in the beginning, okay. Good afternoon. My name is Paul Duffy. I hope you're Mr. Jones. Yep, that's me. Great. I'm with Renewal by Andersen. We just did some work. No, I'll stop you right there. We're not going to be doing anything with our windows. That's okay, sir. Just want to make you aware that we're finishing up a job right down the street for Mrs. Jones on 123 Main Street. Just a second of your time here. I noticed walking up that you had the original wooden windows here. I'm guessing that they're like 30 years old. Is that correct? Yeah, it's correct. But we're not going to be doing the windows anytime soon. And that's okay, sir. Just want to ask you, how long have you lived in the home? I mean, like 20 years. Okay, so you're not the original owner. Nope. So they're getting aggravated now. Okay, sir. Well, I promise I'll make this brief for you. I noticed that they were the single pane windows here, which I know that you know are never energy efficient. That being said, they're all the same single pane windows still. Yeah, we didn't replace them, but like I said, man, I'm not going to be interested in doing any of this right now. It's not something that we're planning on doing right now. No, that's absolutely okay, sir. I'll let you know what we're doing, sir, before I leave. But I mean, you have the original wooden windows here. So the storm windows on there as well. I can notice some rotting in some of the sills here. It looked like, again, it's single pane glass, not energy efficient. And I'm guessing that they don't open and close very easy. That's when I'd lay out a couple of the problems for me. So I just like to make a suggestion to you, sir. One of our foremen would just come out just to check the windows. Okay, so that's the avenue that I go with that, right? Because I'm getting constant negative pressure from the customer. So I want to eventually move it along, but I don't want to just go, okay, so you have a good day, goodbye. No, you got to work it out, guys. You're not doing all of this stuff. Okay, you might think that you are. You might really, truly feel that way. There's something in this video that can help you. There's something in this video that can make it easier for you. Okay. We'll continue to do training. We're going to make more training videos that are more, that get more people involved. Okay. But I beg you and urge you just to examine what you're doing. Okay. Watch videos like this, write down notes. What can you go back through this? Write down notes. What can help you? What are you not doing right now? And carry yourself with confidence. That's the one thing you need to do. Confidence and pleasure, enjoying your time. Okay. Very simple. It will make you so much better. Okay. We're going to come up with another video on referrals. We got another video on for the managers that we're going to come up with after. So we got a bunch of stuff going on tonight. So I'll look forward to seeing you guys